Swedish defense firm Saab wants Canada to buy and build its fighter jets.
You are pitching to Canada both fighter jets and surveillance planes. To be clear, is it your company's intention, if the Canadian government does go ahead with Saab, to manufacture both these products here in Canada?
Canada signed a $19 billion deal, 88 F-35 fighter jets. Lockheed Martin, first 16 already paid for, contracts locked, delivery scheduled, it looked done. But now Ottawa is quietly asking one question Lockheed doesn't want answered. And the problem isn't the jet's price. It isn't its performance. It's what the jet knows. The original decision came in January 2023. Canada chose the F-35A Lightning II to replace its aging CF-18 Hornet fleet. The jets would be based at Cold Lake in Alberta and Bagotville in Quebec. First deliveries expected between 2026 and 2028. The logic was simple: NORAD integration, NATO interoperability, Five Eyes alignment. Canada's entire northern defense architecture runs through US systems. The F-35 wasn't just a jet. It was the glue. Mark Carney inherited the deal when he took office. On paper, there was nothing to revisit. Everything made sense. Until one question started spreading inside Ottawa, a question that has nothing to do with flying. The F-35 isn't just a fighter jet. It's a data collection platform with wings. Every mission an F-35 flies, it records. Radar signatures, enemy positions, communication intercepts, weapons performance, flight patterns over the Arctic. All of it gets logged, processed, and uploaded. Uploaded to where? That's the problem. The F-35 runs on a system called ALICE, Autonomic Logistics Information System. Its replacement, Odin, is rolling out now. Both systems route aircraft data through servers controlled by Lockheed Martin and the US Department of Defense. Translation: every time a Canadian F-35 patrols the Arctic, every time it tracks a Russian bomber near Canadian airspace, that intelligence flows out of Canada. It doesn't stay in Ottawa. It doesn't stay with the Royal Canadian Air Force. And here's where the math stops working for Carney's government. None of this was a secret. So why now? Because the ground under the US-Canada relationship has shifted. Trump's second term brought tariffs on Canadian steel, aluminum, and lumber. Public questioning of NATO commitments. Repeated comments about Canada as a 51st state. Canadian polling has moved sharply. Trust in the US as a reliable security partner has dropped to historic lows. Carney campaigned openly on reducing Canadian dependence on American systems across trade, energy, and defense. Meanwhile, the Arctic is heating up. Russia is expanding its northern fleet. China is pushing for polar access. Greenland is back on the geopolitical map. Canada's most sensitive intelligence is being generated in exactly the zone where Ottawa can least afford to lose control of it. The timing isn't a coincidence. It's pressure. Then came the offer nobody in Washington expected. Saab, the Swedish defense firm, walked into Ottawa with a pitch, not just the Gripen E fighter jet, a full industrial package, final assembly in Canada, a partnership with Bombardier, up to 10,000 Canadian jobs. And one more thing, a sovereign data center, built in Montreal, Canadian-controlled, Canadian-owned. No data leaves the country. Saab's CEO Michael Johansson made the pitch public. The Gripen, he said, is designed to operate alongside the F-35 in mixed fleets, NATO-compatible, interoperable, but independent. Per unit cost, the Gripen E comes in significantly cheaper than the F-35A. Maintenance costs? Lower across the life cycle. Suddenly, this stopped being a procurement decision. It became a sovereign decision. And in Ottawa, that's a very different conversation. But walking away from Lockheed isn't clean. Canada has already committed to the first 16 F-35s. Deposits paid. Penalty clauses locked in. Infrastructure at Cold Lake is being built specifically to F-35 specifications. Pilot training pipelines are already aligned with US programs. Cancel now, and Canada faces financial penalties, delayed CF-18 retirement, and a dangerous gap in NORAD readiness. There's a political cost too. Tearing up an F-35 contract means directly antagonizing Lockheed Martin, the Pentagon, and Trump's White House in the same move. But staying has its own cost. A permanent data dependency. No sovereign intelligence capability. Every Arctic patrol, forever, feeding a pipeline Ottawa doesn't control. Neither path is free. And Carney has to pick one. So a third option is now on the table. the compromise being floated inside Ottawa, a split fleet. Part F-35. Part Gripen. The logic is strategic. Keep enough F-35s to maintain NORAD commitments and Five Eyes interoperability. Add a Gripen fleet for sovereign operations, Arctic patrol, domestic airspace, missions where Canada wants its data to stay Canadian. Supporters call it leverage, a way to reduce single-vendor risk without burning the US alliance, a hedge against future political uncertainty. Critics call it expensive. 2 training pipelines, 2 maintenance systems, 2 logistics chains, 2 sets of spare parts. Finland and Poland have evaluated similar hybrid approaches for the same reasons. It's not unprecedented. Whether Carney has the domestic political cover to make this move is the live question. His government is working with a narrow window. Election pressures are building. Lockheed is lobbying hard. Ottawa has weeks, not months, to decide, and every week the decision slips. The pressure from both capitals grows louder. This was never really about fighter jets. It's about whether a middle power gets to control its own military future when the superpower next door becomes unpredictable. It's about who owns the data generated in your own airspace. It's about what sovereignty actually means in a world where the most valuable weapon isn't the aircraft, it's the intelligence it collects. The decision Carney makes in the next few months will quietly shape the next 40 years of North American defense. And right now, nobody, not Lockheed, not Saab, not even Ottawa, knows which way this breaks.